Hey YouTube, this is Nashtaters. Welcome to my Chinese Heritage Celebration Week. And today is Autumn Moon Festival, so I want to thank everybody for supporting this channel and I want to wish everybody a happy holiday. Now I know not everyone celebrates this obviously because clearly this is a Chinese holiday, but I feel like it's a pretty good idea to share with the community. And so today I'm going to start off by talking about one special movie that I grew up with, loving, and has inspired me to do many things in my own life. Without further ado, let's talk about this special cultural movie. So in this episode of Worth Visions, I'm actually going to incorporate a popular pop culture reference from my childhood. And this movie is called Shaolin Temple. Now, the music that I had in the intro was the actual intro music to Shaolin Temple. And one of the things about copyright rules is as long as you get to comment on the music you're using and you're critiquing it, you can use it for legal purposes. So with that in mind, I'm going to talk about a little bit about the Shaolin Temple music. Obviously, it was sang by a bunch of dudes. Very good in terms of showcasing the power of that movie, because the movie was very powerful in itself. The actors did a really good job in acting their roles. There was a lot of conflict, a lot of killing. And one of the biggest themes was, as a Shaolin monk, you have the right to defend yourself, but you have the right to kill, even though you're defending the loved ones. When I was a kid growing up in China, by the way, I lived there till about age of 9. In 1983, this movie came out, and it pretty much was the best movie out at the time. The Shaolin Temple was about this young man who was captured by enemy forces, and it was during a time that was very turbulent, right? Forces in China were very feuding with each other, and this young man with his dad was captured, and they were treated as slave workers. And they got into a fight with their captors, and it turns out his dad was severely injured, and he was able to escape. But they kept chasing him, and eventually he found refuge at the Shaolin Temple. There he became a monk, and he wanted to take revenge for his dad. And basically the story keeps going where they saved the life of a king, and that king subsequently helped change some of the rules in Shaolin Temple. Now, this movie affected me in many ways. First off, it introduced to me Jet Li, and later on he became one of the international sensations. And at that time, Kung Fu was very popular, and kind of like during that time in the 80s, my dad took my brother and I to encourage us to really learn some Kung Fu. Now, obviously, growing up as a child in America, I faced a lot of prejudice and bullying, and people assumed that I knew Kung Fu or karate. People didn't know the difference, right? Ignorance is ignorance. And they would make all those noises and the Kung Fu noises and whatnot. And I never really got into many physical confrontations with other kids, but my brother did quite a bit. And so I think he always wanted to protect me, as his younger brother. But I did take Kung Fu myself. And in fact, actually, I don't have my trophy, but I actually took 3rd place because what ended up happening was we became disciples of a Chinese martial artist in America. And he was actually pretty good. And he took on another student. So it was me, this older adult student, and my brother. And my dad took us, all 5 of us, to West Virginia. Because at the time we were living in Pittsburgh. That's why I'm a big Pittsburgh Steelers fan. And we enter into this contest. There was no contact. It wasn't a full contact tournament. It was more like showing off your techniques. And I was able to win 3rd place. At that time I didn't know very much. And I think I started to have superpowers too, because we stayed at this gentleman's house who was also a martial artist. And I stayed on the floor, with sleeping bags or whatever, alongside with my brother. And I remember waking up the morning before we entered the tournament. I had this thing on my face, and naturally I went to touch it, and I realized it was this giant spider. So I grabbed it and I flung across the room. And since then I have, tingling sensations. I'm just kidding. I did get a big spider in my face, but no, I don't have any superpowers. That would be pretty funny. But maybe that's what gave me strength. Because later that day in the tournament, I didn't know what I was really doing in terms of what I was supposed to do to compete. Because, I was very young. But it turned out I did win third place. And I think because they were impressed with my stances and my techniques. So I'm very proud of that moment. And I think Shaolin Temple definitely had a humongous impact for my family and just overall Chinese people, because we've always been bullied throughout the entire 5,000 year history, more or less. And there's always been chaos and a lot of killings within the Chinese culture, because there was a lot of feudal lords and everybody wanted land, and that was the same with a lot of cultures, right? But over time we had dealt with many foreign invaders, and that was one of the biggest reasons why the Great Wall was invented. And so I think there was a lot of pride in terms of defending yourselves. But I think overall the impact of martial arts, kung fu, and future films and whatnot really made a big impact on me, because it taught me discipline. It taught me patience. It taught me to be able to withstand bullying and to grow and mature as an adult. And I think that carried over into War of Divisions for me, because I love the fact that I have to be patient, right? There are times where I did make impulse purchases or make impulse summons, but for the most part, I've been very patient with this game. In fact, I've been very patient with a lot of things in my life. I think this channel has taught me to be patient. My growth, I know, isn't as fast as perhaps some other YouTubers, but in the time, people keep encouraging me just to do what I do. And that's what I'm doing. I'm going to keep doing what I do because I love it. And at the end of the day, as long as you love what you do, it's not really a job or anything like that. It's just more like something to really willing to dedicate your time to. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed this story, and we're going to be doing this for the next several days. I think we're going to carry all the way to next Thursday, because for me, I think 7 days doesn't really cover enough cultural references in my life. But I know I've already picked out many cultural pop movies, dramas, whatever, that really made me the person that I am today. So I think I really want to share that with the community. I want to share that with my supporters, and I want to share that with the world, really. But without further ado, let's get into summoning videos, part of this portion, because obviously you guys are here to see me summon, and we can perhaps have a little chat. Alright, so you can get vision cards, you can get units, but for me, I think I'm really looking for vision cards, believe it or not. And if I'm able to get Kitufei or Eldaira, that's great too. I think if I get Eldaira, I'll definitely build her, but if I get Kitufei, I might have to think about it, because I'm already far deep into building other units. So it looks like we have a chance at a rainbow unit, but other than that, that's it. So let's just go and blast through this. And tonight, I'm actually going to stream. I think I'm going to start around 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll put up a short video notice, just so some people can kind of get an idea when I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to run it for maybe like 2 hours-ish. I want to be eating some moon cakes, which I'm really excited about, and then talk about the food that I ate for dinner, and then maybe we can just do some farming, chatting, and then maybe discuss some cultural things that you folks enjoyed and that maybe play a big role in part of you aging as a human being and maturing as a human being. Oh, we got Katie. All right, I'm okay with that. I like Katie. I like the way she looks. So I definitely want to build her, but I think I'm gonna wait on MR units and SR units until the new stones come out. Now, obviously, the songs that's been running in the background throughout this entire video is the song that I personally really enjoyed, because the female singer had just a lovely, crisp voice, and the scene was very calm, a very serene scene in which she was more of like a sheep herder, and she was herding her little lamb, and then of course enemy forces showed up and they started killing the lamb because they wanted to use it to feed the army, and of course she started defending the lamb and herself. Ultimately though, I feel like life itself is about conflicts. When we play games, it's based on conflicts, and even though the backdrop of that song with the lady singing is very calm and very happy, she's singing about the sun, she's singing about the land, she's singing about the people. It's set in the backdrop of war times, and although I've never experienced that in the wars myself, I'm a big, huge history buff, sort of. Well, maybe not a buff, but more like I love history. And one thing that's always been a recurring theme is hatred, and of course, jealousy and greed, and of course, murder, mayhem, whatever have you, right? It's all about chaos. And I think that fine balance between chaos and light, it's what you as an individual and me as an individual should be striving for, that balance. Make sure that you have enough balance of both, right? There are times where you do need to create chaos, and there are times you do need to make sure you fight and seek balance. So overall, I feel like the movie was very powerful. And during the 1980s, people weren't shy about expressing themselves. I think unlike today, where people are more like scared to say what's on their mind because of a lot of social pressures. But let's go ahead and end this video with the summons for my Spenders account. I just love her voice though. Don't you guys think that her voice is just so soothing? And I think that the instruments they use, it's very soothing as well. And I think that's one thing about China. Oh man, this is going to be a dud, right? One thing about Chinese music in general is that there has been a lot of instruments that make big impacts. You have your typical guitar and your maybe like harp or things like that in modern day. But back in the days, there were all kinds of different instruments that people used to create really good sounds. Like flute, I think is a big popular one. Harmonica, maybe harmonica wasn't really invented till much later because of the metals and things like that. But change, oh man, Helena, okay, Helena, however you want to pronounce it. So overall, two kind of duds, but that's okay. It's free and it's all good in the hood. I think that's all the time I have for this video. I can't express how much appreciation I have for you guys for supporting this channel, supporting me. I think moving forward, I'm going to try to improve more and more. I know I have a weird way of talking because I like to kind of like do a lot of pauses. I think that has to do with the fact that I'm thinking. I don't enjoy writing scripts unless it's something I'm trying to either educate the community on or like a review video or something like the sorts where I'm sort of like memorizing a half script. Most of my videos like to tend to respond naturally because I feel like a natural response or your first response usually is the correct response, regardless if it's negative or positive. So in the future, I'll try to improve the way I talk. Maybe I'll speak faster, maybe I'll do less pausing. But time is your most valuable resource, so spend it wisely. As always, take care of yourself and all your loved ones. Happy October, because also Halloween is coming up as well. And autumn is one of my favorite seasons. So until next time, Nashtaters and his family out. Peace.